everyone, how you doing? Hope you're keeping well. Hope you had a nice Christmas and are looking forward to a new year. Got any plans? Going out partying? Just stay safe everyone. Stay safe. Well, it's been 2021 and it's really weird that a whole year has gone by. It's also very odd sort of thinking of things that seemed like a really long time ago because circumstances changed such a lot over the summer. Went from 2020, semi-2020, having quite a bit of time at home to suddenly being back at work in amongst a really busy period with lots of stresses and some personal stuff going on as well. And so the second half of 2021 certainly has not been brilliant. As a result of which I sort of am coming out of 2021 going, oh, that was a bit of a rubbish year. So I wanted to have a bit of a remembrance that good things happened this year as well, particularly around Oakbound and hobby things. Because of course this was the year that I decided to really sort of try and step up Oakbound a little bit, go a bit more professional, even though I'm still running out of my garden shed, even more so now. But I wanted to sort of revamp it a little bit. We sold a lot of copies of the Woods rulebook during 2020, both online through Wargames Vault Drive through RPG and through our own shop. So I wanted to sort of to get on the back of those, sort of make us a bit more professional, which I hope maybe we've succeeded in doing this year. So we started off redoing the website. That new website launched in January, and that was cool. Very happy with the way that has been going. WooCommerce is so much easier to use than WordPress Basic Simple Shopping Cart. I have really enjoyed the ease of use of that, and it does seem to have translated into a lot more sales, although it's much easier to keep the record of those sales at the moment, so I'm able to see that better. Is possibly part of it, but I do think that having that sort of shinier front end has made it easier for people to find things and buy things, which is good news for us. Then there was the Grey Company Kickstarter, followed closely by the Wardens of the Woods Wood Elf Kickstarter, both of which funded fairly successfully. And then the 2021 grand plan of getting a casting machine actually happened fairly early into 2021, thanks to Mike at Broadsword Miniatures who went in for that one with me, and Chris at Macrocosm who sorted us out for the machine. Thank you. And so we were able to cast all of the Kickstarter models ourselves from home. Myself from home, which was cool. It was another learning experience, but also another exciting thing to do. And having that machine has meant that restocking things that have fallen out of stock, particularly after Dragon Meet, after Salute, before Dragon Meet, which was really busy. I took a couple of days off work and was able to restock in that time. Was brilliant, excellent for turning over, getting stuff back in stock. So that has been fantastic, and looking forward to getting Mike's project on the go early next year as well with that machine, when the weather gets nice and I can get back out in the shed again, because it's a bit dark and a bit cold and a bit wet at the moment, so won't be doing that just yet, but spring's coming, won't be long. So yeah, that happened. What happened then? Oh, we fulfilled the Dreamstone miniatures Kickstarter. That was a bit of a long-winded. It took longer to do that than I had hoped, but it was a weight off the mind when it happened. Particularly all of the painting. That was a bit of an experiment, partly because I thought that people who were looking to collect the miniatures might be fans of the Dreamstone more than fans of collecting miniatures and painting miniatures, and I think that did prove to be the case. Quite a lot of people requested their miniatures painted for them, which just meant that I spent a lot of time painting miniatures, and I wanted to see if that was a workable sort of optional extra to put onto the web store and say, well, I can paint your miniatures as well. But I think having painted a bunch of miniatures for the Dreamstone, I decided that was not something that I was going to be able to offer. It wasn't worth my time financially for the amount of time that it took to paint the miniatures, and now certainly I wouldn't have the time to be able to do it. It took considerably longer than I had anticipated. But anyway, learning experience, and it didn't hold back the Kickstarter sending too much, so that was good. Then we had the Woods in the Woods, the first Woods Games Day, which was loads of fun. Thank you people who came for that. I have booked, there is a date and a venue for the Woods in the Woods 2022. So keep an eye out on the Oakbound page, on the Woods Facebook page. And if you're not on Facebook, I will be making an announcement in a future video for what date that is. In preparation for that, I did some new how to play the Woods videos, so if you are still struggling to see either from the rulebook or from descriptions how a game of the Woods plays out, hopefully watching those videos will give you a bit of a sense. I do want to still video a few actual games. Hopefully at some point this year I'll be able to stick a camera out and capture some of the action so you can see exactly how a game of the Woods looks and feels. I will be doing some demo games at Beachhead in February down in Bournemouth, so if you're in the area, do drop in and say hi and play a couple of demo games. I can take you through how that runs. But yeah, that was a fun event. Lots of people came together and tried to find new and exciting ways to break the rules. Not to break the rules, but to take the rules and to apply them in ways that they were not intended to be applied, find loopholes, find ways of developing things. So we had sort of rapid fire sorcerers became a thing, and super duper souped up rattling guns. The Norlock muskets on overcharge became a massive thing. So that was fun, and this year I expect to see people come up with ingenious ways of dealing with those issues. It'll be fun, it'll be good, and it'll be great to see you there if you are able to join us. Then the summer came in and we had a bootleg boil, a bootleg Bring Out Your Lead. A bunch of us went round a few people's local town halls and played some games, played some Woods and played some Warhammer. That was fun. And then at the end of the summer there was an actual proper Bring Out Your Lead, official Bring Out Your Lead, where it was really nice to see the old Hammer crew together again for that. And then we were heading into the autumn where there wasn't much time or space for anything, but I had managed to do the sculpting for Zordrak, and so he was handed off to the caster at Bring Out Your Lead, and he arrived just in time for me to panic quickly paint him to get him on Kickstarter ahead of Dragon Meet, and the campaign rolled and it did fairly well. It didn't do as well as I had perhaps hoped, didn't do as well as the original Dreamstone Kickstarter. He's a big model and I wasn't able to offer a painted option for him, and because he's a big model and he's a heavy model, there's a lot of resin and he's quite a complicated mould or series of moulds as well. The cost per model is quite expensive, and of course he's still a licensed model, so I'm still paying a license fee per model sold. So that sort of adds up the cost and means that he is quite an expensive model. But you know, it funded. Thank you to everyone who backed that. It was still good to run, and I will have a couple of copies of him in the shop when those castings arrive, which hopefully won't be too long because the molds already exist. It should just be a case of getting the castings out there. But there won't be that many of him, so if you are keen to pick up a Zordrak, there won't be that many castings available. It will be a very limited run, so grab one while you can. We managed to, on the subject of dragons in resin, we managed to have done a fairly brisk turnover of Eadworms this year. I think I've restocked 3 times, which means probably sold 50, 60, 70 Eadworms this year. Now have a nice reliable resin caster who's turning them over really quickly, so hopefully they should manage to stay in stock. And of course, Aaron Howdall's fantastic wing sets are also available. So you can have a winged earworm if you want a winged earworm. I've seen a few of those produced, looking absolutely stunning, so that's good. Hopefully I'll be able to keep that in stock. I've kind of touched on Dragon Meat, and I touched on Dragon Meat recently, so we won't go there again. But Salute obviously was good. I was a bit anxious about the first show in 18 months, but it was great. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it being a bit quieter. I took more money than the last Salute, so that was great. I have also done a video sort of doing a rundown, so I won't dwell too much on this, but I was really glad that that went ahead, and I'm just waiting for my application for the next Salute, which will be in April, so that's good. The pacing will be a bit easier next year to come through, so that I can pay for my stand there, assuming that they want me again. I mean, who knows, they might not. So yeah, and that sort of brings us to the end of the year. I've had very little time for any sculpting whatsoever this year, which is okay because I did quite a lot last year. But yeah, I've been back to the 9 to 5, and even before then I was quite busy with other things. So when I get a bit of time to do oak-bound stuff or hobby stuff, I only really fancy painting at the moment, so which is fine because I've got plenty of things to paint up, but also quite a big queue to get through. So yeah, I haven't really had the mojo for sculpting. Maybe I'll get back into that next year if I can remember how I was working that around working my work hours. But I've got a few things still to release. I've got some leprechauns that need to be released next year, some hobgoblins that need to be released next year, and possibly some kind of chaotic gnomey types, dark underground chthonic gnomes to come out potentially. I mean, they're still very much in the early stages, but we don't know if we'll see them yet. Well, maybe next year, maybe not next year. And of course the big Brian Froud giant. I'm still hopeful that I will be able to get in contact with Mr. Froud at some point next year. I haven't managed to since our initial conversations about it, so I have the rights to the image and to create a sculpt based on the image. I have created a sculpt based on the image, so everything is totally legal and above board and ready to go, but I do want to contact him because I would like to obviously market it as the Brian Froud giant, and I don't know that I can make the link. So if anyone knows Brian Froud and is watching, or Brian, you're watching, please get in touch. I think he's not been that well this year. I heard that. I don't know if he will be at Fantasy Forest next year. If he is, I will try and catch him then. But yeah, that's what sort of delaying that a little bit at the moment. The other big thing that's happening next year is the Patreon. So if you have not already heard, I'm doing a Patreon next year. You can go to the Patreon page. It is Oakbound Studio. You should be able to find it quite easily. I'll put a link in the comments below, or in the description below. We are doing a 12-ish model warband based on the Druid's Last Stand at Anglesey, with concept art by Christian Schwager, and that will be a unique, exclusive metal warband which you'll be able to get by being a Patreon backer for every month of 2022. And you should have your models by Christmas next year, along with a nice little packaging box and a print of the concept art. And then every month on the Patreon we're going to be doing a video, a more extensive video, longer video, looking a bit in depth at the process of going from an idea through a concept, through sculpting, through moulding, through casting, through painting, through playing on the tabletop. We'll be sort of following the whole journey throughout the year. So I'm hoping that will be quite an interesting journey, and the start of several interesting journeys, because hopefully we'll roll it on from there. So if you have already joined the Patreon, thank you very much. Nice to see you there. I hope we'll get started very soon with the first video. And if you haven't, do take a look, because I hope it will be, I hope it will be of interest to you. So that's 2022 coming up. I don't know what else is in store, but that's quite enough for the moment. That's the plan anyway. Who knows how far we will get. Yeah, so only remains for me to wish you a happy new year, and I will see you in 2022.